Hello friends, and welcome to Toho's Teaching Time. Today's lesson will be the top 5 things new players need to learn to get better at Legion TD2. Please ignore the bad editing. I am still quite noob at video making. Tip number 1. Use the in-game guides. You don't have to memorize everything at once. There's a book icon in the bottom right that will show you a wave guide and a damage effectiveness chart. The wave guide will tell you what the upcoming wave's typing will be and give you a recommended fighter type to use. This can be nice to plan ahead. Let's say you don't have some of the best units for that upcoming wave, maybe you overbuild, stuff like that. There's also a typing chart. So if you ever forget or just want to, try and memorize it a little bit while in game, you can see how everything stacks up against everything else. You can see that Impact does 20% less damage to the Swift tank type, 15% less to Natural, but it does 15 bonus to both Fortified and Arcane. You can also hover over the units that you have, and it will show you how they are on the current wave. As you can see, some of these units aren't so great this wave, so maybe you don't want to build them. You can also hover over your gold and your mythium to see how much estimated gold or mythium you're going to have for the next wave as well. It's estimated because leaking a wave or holding a send can change the number a little bit as well. Tip number 2 is a really easy one. All you have to do is keep auto on. Income is one of the most important aspects of the game, and keeping auto on will ensure that you spend as much mythium as you have available. It's nice because you don't have to overwhelm yourself too much trying to pick the perfect send for every wave. Honestly, just focus on your build for now, and eventually you'll start to learn how to send better and better. Don't get overwhelmed by trying to learn all the units at once. There are quite a few of them in this game, all with different damage types and, tank types. The game does have set legions that will always have the same 6 units. You can try a couple and find one that you like, and then I recommend keep playing it so you can learn 6 units at a time and how they work together. I would recommend Divine, as it has most of the damage and tank types that you need. You've got a fortified tank, you've got a natural tank, you've got an arcane off tank, a pierce DPS. No magic, but you have a pure DPS, so that's, it covers it for you. And lastly, you have an impact damage and swift off tank. If you find one unit that you really like, instead, you can lock that unit in and learn how to play around that unit. Yazira is my recommendation for this, as she is very tanky early and can actually hold the first 2 waves by herself. Campaign and AI games are a great way to learn. The campaign bosses all have a theme to their playstyle, which can be really nice as you can learn how to play against someone who likes to save on you, which is like not sending any mythium for a wave. They could be overbuilders, right? Which means they don't push as many workies as they should, or they could send every wave, and you'd have to try and deal with the pressure of that. If it's too easy for you, you can always go into the hard mode of the campaign, where the bosses basically have hacks. Campaign also has a restart button. So let's say that, like me, on this wave right here, I got snailed, and I didn't like that. I wasn't prepared for it, and I leaked. I can just restart and try again. Try and build something else for it, add a little more units for it, just figure it out. It also has a pause button, so you have plenty of time to plan your build and to look at what they're doing. This can help because sometimes you get a little overwhelmed trying to place all your units. You can't even look at them, what they're doing, so it's nice. Tip number 5, and the final one, also the toughest one, is positioning and auras. Normally in games like this, you want to have your melee tanks in front of your ranged DPS, but in Legion, every unit, even tanks, can do some good damage. The longer that you keep them alive, the more damage they do. As you can see here, we leak a lot of units that are very low health. This is because the flower got overwhelmed trying to tank everything by itself. So let's try putting it in the front this time. In this specific case, the flower is our highest damage unit, so you want the aqua to tank a little bit to keep some pressure off of the flower. So now we have the aqua tanking a little bit. It will die, which is unfortunate, but the flower is our highest DPS, so all we had to do was buy time for the flower to get up some more damage, and look, we barely leak it all. We leak the dragon turtle with no HP versus a 60% leak with everything being no HP. Okay, let's try another one. We still have our tank unit in the front, tanking the entire wave by itself, and our DPS tanking nothing in the back. As you can imagine, our tank will get overwhelmed by all the units, and then after it dies, our DPS will get overwhelmed by the rest of the units. What happens if we equally split the tanking between both of our units? This way, our DPS can hopefully kill all the units on it fast enough not to die to them, and then go help our tank that is not being overwhelmed trying to tank all the units by itself. So you see the difference between, the same two units, the same send, the same wave, but just different positioning. It can go from a really big leak to a full hold. Auras can be a bit tricky, but once you get it down, it's pretty easy. And you can fit a max number of 6 units around an aura. There are 2 ways you can do this. You can have 2 units in front splitting the square, and 2 in the back also splitting the square. If you do it this way, the units on the left and right have to be on the same square as the aura unit itself. You can also do it the opposite way. You could have 2 units on the left and right, kind of how we had them on the front and back last time, the half square. And then for the last 2 units, you put them directly in front on the same square and directly behind on the same square. What you should not do is put it down like this. It may seem like it will get the aura, but it actually does not. You can check to see the animations, the effects, to see if it's got the aura as well, which can be really nice. Well, those are my 5 tips for new players. I hope some of them help you. If you have any more questions, you can always ask the Reddit, go to the official Discord. Most of the streamers, including myself, would be happy to answer any of your questions if you just come into chat. So, just hit us up. Be part of the community, and they will help you out. Alright, friends, until next time, adios.